Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we've got a little bit of a break in the weather, so my goal is to take care of our fruit trees. It is early spring. We have had some crazy weather going on here. I'm sure that a lot of you can relate. We've just had snow and pouring down rain and thunder and lots of wind going on. So it's supposed to be quite windy today, so right now it's pretty decent outside and it's about 41 degrees, gloomy as could be, but we are going to go ahead and try to get our fruit trees taken care of before they start to get leaves. So that's my goal today. We have, let's see, apple trees, peach trees, pear trees, plum trees, and cherry, and mulberry, and I think that's it on our farm. So we have planted them. I think all of them are at least 2 years old. Maybe some are 3 or 4 years old. I can't remember, but I keep all of that information in my homestead notebook so that I can look back on when everything was planted, where it was planted, and what varieties and all of that stuff, but I don't have that in front of me. But last year in particular, the peaches got sick, and I'm pretty sure that the cherries, most of the cherries did as well. I believe it to be a fungus, and so I'm going to be go ahead and treating them for fungus now while they don't have leaves. That's the best time to do it. Either in the fall after their leaves have dropped or early spring before they get their new leaves on. So I'm going to go ahead and use a fungicide on them because that fungus will overwinter on the bark, and then once those leaves come out, it will infect your tree again, and if you let that go too long, that fungus can cripple and eventually down the road kill the tree. So we don't want any of that to happen. Our peaches are producing tons of peaches on them, lots of fruit on them last year, and they are just growing so fast. It's insane. They're so prolific and just fast growing compared to all of our other fruit trees. They seem to be really thriving, but they were the ones to first succumb to this fungus. And so last year we removed all the leaves that were infected, which was basically the entire tree worth of leaves, and all of the fruit off of the tree, which there was tons of it. And it was able to grow new healthy leaves, but again, we don't want it to be reinfected. So we're gonna go ahead and spray the fungicide, and I'll show you real quick what I'm gonna be using today. So I picked up this Captain Jack's fruit tree spray. This is a fungicide for organic gardening. It's also good for a lot of pests that could be on your trees. I know that it has neem oil and I'm sure some other things as well, but that is the only fungicide that was for organic gardening that my local stores had in stock. So that's what they carried, so that's what I got. I didn't feel like ordering and having that liquid shipped if I didn't have to. So I went ahead and just got that locally so that I could get to spraying these when I need to. I'm going to be using a 1 gallon sprayer like this. I just got this a few years ago at like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. They tend to have lots of those, so those are easy to find. One tip with those is you probably want to keep a couple different ones depending on what application you're using. I usually keep one that I only use for chemical type applications, and one that I would use that may be going on food and things like that, or things that I don't want chemicals in. I don't like to share the two. So if I need to spray water or fertilizer, I would have one for that. If I need to spray some kind of chemical, I would have one for that. And just a tip for those is if you live in a cold climate, I do recommend storing them out of the cold. So if you have a basement or something like that, even a garage where it's not, usually garages specifically, if they're insulated, ours is insulated really well, so it doesn't get below freezing in there. It does get quite cold, but it doesn't get freezing, so I can keep stuff like that in there because they have the tube And the little nozzles and stuff like that, even the slightest bit of moisture or water left in those can damage those. And I can tell you that from experience because I did lose one a couple years back. I went to use it and it had just had enough water apparently left in it that it was able to destroy that kind of spray mechanism. So it leaked and sprayed everywhere. It just wouldn't work. So just a little tip there, but I already mixed that up. It's 1 gallon and I just followed the directions on their label. So I put about 3 tablespoons of the Captain Jack's fruit spray into that 1 gallon of lukewarm kind of water. And I'm gonna just go ahead and take those. I don't know how many trees it will spray. The peaches are a little bit on the bigger side. They are all quite small though, probably compared to like a mature fruit tree. So yes, I'm also prepared with my little bucket here. I'm going to be carrying around, try to carry all this stuff with me. Usually my husband and I do this together, but because the weather's been so bad and I have a little break in the weather here, my husband's really busy doing other stuff, so I thought that I would just get a head start without him. But I've just got my gloves. I have some alcohol, rubbing alcohol here, and some little trimmers. I'm going to be using the alcohol to sanitize these between trees. These only cut kind of smaller branches, so I am going to just do a little bit of minor pruning, but my big pruners broke. I've got a couple pair. One is really dull, doesn't really cut, and the other one broke. So I'm just going to be kind of pruning up a little bit with this if I need to. I've got alcohol and a rag here to just clean them off between trees so that I don't transfer any fungicide or disease, bacteria, or anything from one tree to the other. So I'm going to be carrying that. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. We've got up on the hill, kind of behind the shed, up on the hill is where some of our orchard is. That is where our cherries. We did have an apple, pretty sure it's dead. It was a gala and it was doing beautifully and then just randomly died, not sure. There's the plums are up there too. I think that's it now because a couple of them have died off. And then down here in front of our pasture, our what we call the winter pasture, we have a row. And that is the majority of our apples. I think there's like 4 or 5 apple trees, 2 of our pear trees, and the 2 peach trees. So I'm gonna probably just start out with the peaches, and we'll see how far that goes and how much I can get done today. If the wind's gonna be blowing it into me, I'm obviously not gonna be able to do it, but I think that I'll be able to get her done. So let's go ahead and walk over there, and we will see what we have going on. And we'll just get started. So this right here is our, what we call our winter pasture, and we don't have any livestock right now, so nothing is there, but across the front here of the property, we have our small orchard. These are the trees that we planted first, so these are the oldest trees, and I think the first about 5 or so are the apple trees, and then a couple pears, and the peaches are at the end. So I'm gonna go down there. I am super cold, my hands are cold, so I'm probably gonna have to wear my gloves, but let's go ahead and get this done. This is the biggest of the 2 peach trees, and it's quite a lot taller than me. And this is the other one. And it is hard to keep up on the pruning. They grow so fast. This one nearly died, and it was really messed up. So that is why we have a very strange prune job on that. But man, that has a lot that I need to prune off. I don't know if I can do that with my current trimmer, so I might have to wait on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these sprayed. All right, I'm just gonna shake this up a little bit because it has been sitting for a while. And we keep getting really big wind gusts, so I might have to pause and wait for the wind to settle down between spraying. And I'm gonna spray everywhere, top to bottom. The cows think that I'm gonna feed them, and I'm not. All right. I think I am gonna go ahead and take this deer cage off. So I've got the metal fencing around all the fruit trees because we had them eaten by deer, like very eaten by deer, year before last. So, or maybe it was a couple years now. So I've been really happy with these, but you do have to stake the fence to the ground or the deer will just push it and get your trees. Hopefully I'm not spraying the camera over there. There are lots of buds on this little tree, so that's good. So it's really common for fruit trees to get a fungus if the spring is warm or lasts for a long time. So I think that's why ours got it, because the spring was just warm, a little bit long before they got their leaves in. And we're getting a bunch of wind. Whew. Luckily, because the wind is blowing so strongly, I can spray pretty straight up, and instead of falling down on me, it's blowing in the wind. So hopefully I can get up there to the top because it's pretty tall. All right, I sprayed some all over the ground a little bit around the tree too, just to make sure there's none directly in the soil here. And I will leave this open and come back with the fertilizer. Last year I bought fertilizer and then I never ended up putting it on. I was planning on putting it on either during the late summer to fall time range and never got to it among a bunch of other things I didn't get time to do. So. All right, I think I sprayed it pretty good though. I think I pretty much sprayed everything except for the tip of it, which is like maybe a foot or so at the top. I think I can't reach, but I am gonna come back and do a second treatment in a couple weeks, and hopefully my husband can be with me then, and he's a lot taller, so hopefully he'll be able to reach the top and just make sure that we get that all done. So the other tree is much smaller, so I will definitely be able to reach that one, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to prune this one, honestly, because I guess I can do a few here in the center. That cow is very loud. But I think I'm gonna wait on pruning it until my husband is with me. Maybe a couple like this and this, little ones. I don't know. I think I'm gonna wait and just let the fungicide do its thing, and then when we treat it next time, we'll go ahead and prune them then. That sounds better to me. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and spray this other tree. Yeah, I think I better. It is so cold. That wind is so cold. Hopefully my audio is not completely garbage. Otherwise I'll have to do a voiceover. All right. Okay. Like I said, just spray a little bit around on the ground here. You definitely need to prune this branch here because we already have this up as a main stem, so we definitely want to get rid of that. Or this whole thing, actually, I think will come off. But my little trimmers definitely cannot prune that much off. These things like get twice the branches every year. It's really crazy how much they grow. I hate to see them put all that energy into something like so much growth and then I cut it off. It's really kind of hard. I'm sure that all of you guys that have fruit trees, I'm sure that you can relate. Every time you prune them, it's like, oh goodness, all this growth. Or every time you get some fruit on a new tree and you think, you know, you're told that you shouldn't let it produce fruit. You want it to just grow its roots, the root system, and not focus on fruit when it's young. And that is so hard to do because we see that fruit coming in and we just want to see results. All right, this one is much easier. It's much smaller. All right, it's kind of nice that the wind is blowing all of the spray away from me. And again, this is organic gardening stuff, and it's very cold. There's no pollinators flying around, or, you know, there's not really any pollinators flying around at this time, and I definitely don't want to do this. You're supposed to be able to spray this up until like a week before harvesting fruit. So, but I definitely would not recommend spraying something like this, even though it's for organic gardening. I wouldn't suggest spraying the tree when it's in bloom because you are going to have those pollinators flying around, but because there's no leaves and because of the time of year, we definitely don't have to worry about the pollinators being on these trees. Okay, I think I got this one really well, pretty well soaked it. Okay. I definitely need to get stronger ties for these and put some more stakes around the bottom. I did have like gardening stakes holding them in place, but some of them got lost because I like to, during the summer a couple times, I open these up and weed eat in there, and some of them got pulled up and lost. And so some of these trees, the deer had pushed the fencing up against them and kind of got a few nibbles. So luckily we're moving out of winter, and hopefully they won't be getting any deer pressure anyways this time of year. All right. So that's all I'm gonna do right now for these trees. Again, this one needs some pretty heavy pruning, like very heavy pruning, but those branches are just way too much for my little clippers. So I'm not gonna worry about any of that for today. But I'm gonna go and spray some of the other trees. It's so windy. I'm gonna go and spray some of the other trees, and then I'm gonna go to the shed and grab the fertilizer and just put some fertilizer around these. Okay, so I went ahead and fertilized all of the fruit trees, both up in the orchard and down at the front of the property. It is so windy, but I think I got everything pretty well taken care of for now. I went ahead and just put the fungicide on all of the fruit trees, whether I thought that they had any disease or not, just to make sure that nothing had spread to some other fruit tree variety. I think that it does look like we definitely lost one of our cherry trees. So hopefully we could replace that. We do have 3 others still, and they all looked really, really good. Lots of buds on them and everything. The 2 plum trees look fantastic, tons of buds on them. And I just cannot believe how much our, what are they, mulberry, how much we have 2 mulberries up top, one in our old pig pasture and one up top in the orchard, and they were next to death, and somehow they have grown back and there's tons of branches. They really don't bud out until much later on. But yeah, so those are doing great. And then down below, it looks like one of our apple trees is, actually, I think one last year we thought was probably dead. It looks like it's still alive. It looks like it might live. And then another one is definitely looks like it has some kind of disease or fungus going on. It has black on the bark, and 2 of the branches were dead, and the other part of it was still alive and looking great, had buds on it. So I did go ahead and trim those 2 dead branches off, and I went a little bit heavy on the fungicide and a little bit heavier on the fertilizer on that, and hopefully it's able to fight it off, bounce back, and make a full recovery. So that is my hope for that one. The other apple trees, I think we have 4 other apple trees down below, and they all looked good. The 2 pear trees looking good, and the 2 peaches are looking fantastic, even though they were really the ones plagued with the fungus to begin with. They were looking fantastic, tons and tons of buds on them. Yeah, and tons of growth. So I really, other than that one apple tree, I did not prune anything else. I did decide that I'm gonna wait for my husband to do that together. It's hard when, you know, I'm not a professional fruit tree person, and we always kind of discuss every single branch that we cut, and should we cut that one? What do you think about that one? And we kind of talk with each other about it, and pretty much every single branch that we cut, we talk about whether we think we should cut it or not, and all of that. So yeah, I definitely didn't feel confident doing it by myself without him, especially. Some of them are really growing very bushy and very big, and so yeah, definitely gonna wait for him. Also, I just had those tiny little cutters, and they're really only good for little branches because I didn't even buy them for that purpose. I bought them to trim hooves on our small livestock. So yeah, it wasn't really gonna do a whole lot of good to me anyways. I definitely need to get a little saw or some cutters for the bigger branches, and then we just really need to get those pruned before those buds start opening up and the trees start leafing out. So but everything had a treatment of fungicide. Again, that is an organic fungicide, and so I feel a little bit better about that. But honestly, I've said in past videos and gardening videos and stuff with you guys, I don't even like to use organic stuff on my plants. So hopefully they'll be looking good after I'm gonna treat them again in 2 weeks. So hopefully just after those 2 treatments, that will be enough, and I can let that just go back to being truly organic and not having stuff on it. But they've all got the fungicide treatment, and then I went ahead, I showed you that organic fertilizer that I have. I went ahead and sprinkled that around kind of the canopy and around the base of the trees for all the trees. So everything should be all set. So that is a dry, like pelleted kind of granule fertilizer. So that will basically just slowly, when it rains and stuff, that's gonna slowly go into the soil and kind of over time, long-term feed the trees. But I may consider, because I do have a good amount of the liquid fertilizer that I use on my plant starts and my garden plants, that I think I might, once they leaf out, I may go ahead and give them some liquid fertilizer as well. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at, and I think that we're right on track. So I just need to do one more treatment of fungicide and go ahead and prune when my husband can make it out there with me, and we'll be all set. And hopefully we will see some big growth and big changes in our orchard this year, which will be super, super duper exciting, because I have been having to buy produce, apples and stuff from neighbors to get every year, and so it would be crazy one day to be able to have fruit from our own trees. I can't even imagine it right now. So very excited about the future of the orchard, because you guys probably know that that's kind of a long-term thing. So we planted that like right away. We started planting the fruit trees and stuff. I guess that is it for this video, you guys. I hope that you had fun seeing a little bit more of our property and a little bit more of kind of the stuff that we have going on here on the homestead and different plants that we're doing. I don't think that I've ever really showed you guys much about our orchard or fruit trees. Up in that upper orchard too, we have a lot more than just fruit trees. We have some raspberries and different little berries and stuff that we've planted all around there. I think that we will probably be reworking some of that at some point, maybe this year, maybe in the future. But when I do, I will definitely bring you guys along to just show you the progress and the different ideas that we have for up there. Just walking around the property by myself, it just gives me time to think about what I'm looking at, what we have going on, and it truly just makes you think about how much potential there is in the land, how much potential there is in the property for you to improve it and to kind of make your future what it's going to be. And it's just kind of really a cool reminder and a cool time to just look around and think about all of the things we could do in the future. So I will definitely bring you guys along for all of that. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.